we decided to use Hyperledger Fabric with an open project from the Linux Foundation, backed up by IBM. And that means for us to be successful in using blockchain, we will need to create a consortium moving forward. And we are still looking for strategic partners that will come and join our consortium and contribute to this initiative.
Yeah.
So it could be an industrial player from the energy field, could be financial institution who invest, could be a regulator, could be certification bodies.
Yeah.
And if we are able to get the right set of actors, I think we'll have a very powerful ecosystem, able to really help this, the development of this industry.
So if it's a private blockchain, does that mean there would not be a public token sale associated with it?
No, we decided to not go for an ICO.
Right.
So I found fascinating the ICO and the ability, what did happen, and the amount of companies that has been financed for ICO. The industry we serve with the financial institutions that invest in energy and infrastructure tend to be traditional.
Yeah.
And often most of their LP or key stakeholders, shareholders are government agency or pension fund who are linked to government. And they are very cautious in the way they deploy their money, and everything that is a bit gray will be disregarded.
Sure.
So we believe ICO may cut us from some of our key customers.
Yeah.
So we decided to not do it.
Yeah.
So we are back to the old traditional fashion way.
It's a tough climate for it now anyways, you know, but so with that model, let's say that the platform is built out, right? You're bringing together investors and
the projects.
Is there a value exchange mechanism that is or will be built into that platform? Like a token, something like that? But just an internal...
So we believe down the line there could be a set of complementary services provided to the platform. Give you an example, you could buy maybe a KYC or an AML report directly on the platform, or maybe a generation assessment report for a site.
Yeah.
So that's small transaction, and we could use, for example, a token as an internal payment mechanism.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the real transaction, that is to finance or provide $1 million of investment to an asset, this transaction will remain off the platform, like an OTC transaction.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just kind of thinking in terms of, you know, some of the infrastructure, I guess, chains that are operating right now. Let's take like EOS, for example.
Yes.
If an EOS token represents a certain amount of computing power in the system, right? So you can rent it or you can use it or something like that. It'd be interesting to see in the future if, you know, platforms perhaps similar to the one you're describing is, you know, just by transferring the token from me to you, I'm actually transferring the power, right? The access to the power.
I think you could.
And in that has all the contractual blah, 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 you know, contained
I think you could imagine that in the future.
Yeah.
There are a few, so the peer-to-peer is maybe one of the first example.
Yeah.
But when again we come to a number of regulatory limitations, and it's a relatively small market. Then you have people who have decided to create security token, and then you can trade in investment or representation of investment in an asset, and then you can sell it. So when you buy it, then you buy a share of the product generation, and you get a share of the income associated. To be fair, today's regulatory landscape for security token is very complex.
Right.
There is very few countries that make it easy. This country are, you know, Malta, Gibraltar. So
that's where everybody's going to set up their exchanges or companies or whatever.
Yeah, then we go back to the discussion, you know, if I want to work with an institutional institution, I'm not sure that would be working for us.
Right. I mean, I think what last year showed, I mean, there was all this obvious exuberance in the crypto market and tokens and stuff like that. I think what this past year has shown us is that it's just a mess, you know, like nobody knows what is what, how to handle what what should be described, how it should be described, handled, tax, KYC, AML, all that kind of stuff. And so now everyone is just, I think now everyone's trying to figure out the reality of this stuff, and it's tough, right? Because you could launch a chain and a token easily, right?
Yes.
And then how do you value something like that? And so I think we're going into an era where there's probably going to be a preference for projects that don't ICO, that maybe use blockchain and that technology in a different way, but certainly that like have a real function. I think that's what people are looking for now. Like how does this work? How does this improve an existing process, or how does this create a new market or process? Because just saying that you're blockchain for co-working spaces or something, it doesn't seem any longer to be sufficient to draw people in.
I think there is this famous curve of adoption of technology,
right.
And I think blockchain is a bit in the delusional side.
Yeah.
So people, after all the excitement, start to say, okay, what are maybe the limitations?
Sure.
Or some people did wrong bet, and so they are reassessing. But what's interesting with this curve is that following the decisional, then you start the curve of the mass adoption.
Right.
So I really hope that now with this, that's painful for the people who will be losing during this time. But at the end, as the industry mature.
Yeah.
So most likely what will come out will be stronger than
Sure.
before.